Hello. So this is a thing on Diyaudio. We had a discussion. Solhaga OllBoll, if I pronounce that right, because it sounds like, well, OllBoll in Dutch. He's working on a tweeter, and he was interested in this kind of mylar, so a laminate of aluminium, which is 9 micron on 12 micron mylar. He came up with the idea. He wanted this mylar, and I thought he was gonna etch a coil into it. Now this mylar and laminate is perfect for etching. The only downside of the whole thing is that it is because the glue layer is really thin between the aluminium and the mylar. It has some heat problems. So it's like the opposite of Kapton or using Kapton. Now, the method I used often with aluminium tape with acrylic adhesive, putting it on mylar, is that it creates a barrier between the mylar and the aluminium. The acrylic adhesive is pretty good against, it handles heat rather okay. And it doesn't transfer to the mylar all that much. Etching this into the same coil will have problems with heat in the higher frequencies when you sweep it at a very high volume. In some panels I had, if you sweep it, you can actually see it, the mylar relax, and then get to a normal tension again after the sweep. So that's no good. But he said, hey, and I didn't get it first, he wanted this mylar to use instead of normal mylar, which adds weight for sure, but it is kind of interesting because this is very crinkly foil, as you can hear, so that might be a problem. And might also be very nice because it can hold like corrugation all over the foil, and in combination with the tape traces, it holds corrugation really good, I think. But it also gives it more stiffness, so it's probably less likes to flex at spots where it doesn't supposed to. Well, he wanted maybe 6 meters because he makes large panels. I don't know how much is on here. It's hard to say. It's not much. You see, it's really not insane. And he wanted the whole roll, if possible, without him knowing how much is on there. Well, there you see it. I don't think it is really much. But of course, I want to try it first as well. I don't take credits for it because it's his idea, definitely. But yeah, if I would sell the whole roll, then there's no option to try it. So I don't know if this is gonna work because normally I'll just put it on here, this frame, bloop, just cut it. And then we tension it a little bit. I have several rolls of this material, but in different thicknesses, and apparently I use this roll the most because there's not much left. I might need to buy a new one, but I'm not sure if they sell it anymore. I do have some 12 micron aluminium foil, but this stuff is really crunchy, as you can hear. But I can imagine it holds shape really good. So having a better stretch jig would be nice, but I don't. Well, stretch, it doesn't have to be stretched, it's just I don't want any wrinkles. That's another thing with this mylar. If I just put my finger in here, I'm not gonna try, but it will hold shape. So if I just do, then you will have a finger in there forever. I'm really wondering what this does. It might be completely terrible because it's very noisy. So damping might be worse, but we got the adhesive and the aluminium tape that gives some damping. And maybe the combination holds shape really well and support parts where there is no coil without too much trouble. I don't know. Might be very noisy. I still have one frame left that I made a few days ago. So I could mount it on that, see what it does. So what you could do with normal mylar is like heat shrink this so it has no wrinkles, but that's of course not possible with this aluminium on it. It might go terribly wrong. So I'll leave this foil here. This is not looking all that well, but don't want to attach new foil here. I'm pretty glad with this aluminium foil. It cuts really well. So far, it cut every time, which is very nice. There's something wrong with the CNC. Sounds really gritty. I hope it's not fucked. I think the this axis is kind of done for. No wonder, because it worked 10 years without any grease. So I did grease it lately, but I think it might be too late. It's not the linear reels, it's just the ball screw. There's no... it still looks to be solid, but it doesn't sound solid. There's some resonance. It might as well be some of the beams on the sides here I did not screw to the bigger frame, which is kind of dumb, but I was waiting for bolts and I think I do have them by now, half a year later, but apparently I did not finish what I did. Okay. You hear it sounds really gritty. Not cool. If this coil finishes nicely, that's amazing. I mean, it's been here for a week, sitting on this table. So this is gonna take a while, and you don't see anything. So I'll disable the record for a while. So now there's only aluminium, very small traces, and now we should be able to dump on this. We cannot see what's going on. I don't even know where to roll it. We'll see when rolling it. There's an indent of the coil. Funny. And now hopefully it doesn't like tear. No, it doesn't. So it didn't tear, but since the foil is harder to cut than just mylar, I should have used either more weight on the cutting blade or less speed. Oh, it's not sounding good. So that's not perfect. It's a bit gritty on the side, but I can already feel it's much stiffer because we made sort of a a laminate, aluminium on both sides, so this is much stiffer than normally. Normally it will curl up completely, now it doesn't. So this cutting edge is also not the best, but it's the piece that's not playing, so it actually doesn't matter. But if I would do this again, lower speed in cutting it free, or yeah, that's quite stiff. Yes, that's really stiff. So this is one, and I'll do another one. I'll do one with just regular mylar. Oh, actually the size is quite the same. But this feels much stiffer in the, if you want to pull it to outwards. Interesting. The backside looks cool as well. This will increase resonance quite a bit. So you have to make it wider to get back to the same resonance as the foil without X-ray aluminium. And then you should check what does better. It might be a good idea, I don't know. I mean, there's no part where there's no aluminium. Now in my case I have very thin traces in between the aluminium. In his case, because of its design, he has much bigger spaces where there is no aluminium, or at least no trace. So to make his membrane hold shape better, this might be a really good idea. It might not be very useful for my method, or the thing I'm making here, but who knows. So I should make a complete panel out of this one. And I made already one with this membrane. And see what the differences are. The efficiency should be lower because it's heavier. So the top end might be hurt a little bit as well. But I'm also sure that the resonance goes up quite a bit. Maybe we're back to 600 or 650 instead of 490. I would not be surprised. It does feel very solid. Oh, here I can hold it like this. This one. You can see the difference in stiffness. Yeah. Somehow I would, I suspected that this one would be shorter in length because the corrugation are like more stiff and might got deeper, but it makes sense that they are the same. I use the same corrugator, but this one is just much stiffer. You see the blue foil through it. We'll see. I'll just do a measurement with the old tweeter. Well, old, I mean the same foil but without the extra aluminium layer. That's foil 1. It is on. Let's see, my guess is resonance went up quite a lot. Yeah, so you can see resonance went from 500, give or take, to 631, so it went up. Overall distortion might be a little bit lower, especially near resonance, but it's hard to say because the distortion went up in resonance, or became lower, but then again, the resonance point itself went up as well. So normally you have less resonance. Another thing you can see clearly is that the output becomes a little bit more jagged. So it will drop from 16K, and before it just went on to 20 something K. Interesting nonetheless, but I'm not too sure. I might need to measure this at a way higher volume, but so far I think it's hard to compare if the resonance of these foils are different, or at least you can take a look at everything above resonance, but at resonance it's not very useful, and it looks just more jagged than the normal version I made. Output wise, you don't lose anything, almost nothing. And that might be because the resonance went up and you have a little bit more output down low. So it compensated for whatever we lost because of the extra weight, I think. I mean, they're as loud, but the other panel went lower. The lighter panel. Because its resonance is lower. So yeah, there you have it. It doesn't give me all that much information, to be fair. Well, I might need to redo it at a much higher volume, and maybe we can see some difference in distortion. But it's also not comparable to what he wants to make. He is using far less coil, so there's more unsupported areas, and in that case, it might do a lot of work of making the whole thing a little bit stiffer. In this configuration, it might be adding too much stiffness and a little bit too much weight for a tweeter, in my opinion, because now it's dropping at 15-16K instead of 20K. Well, anyhow, I'll just post it on Diyaudio and let's see what he thinks. And let's see how much meters there are on the roll left. Who knows?